Welcome to the Unapologetic Entrepreneurship Podcast, where we believe that as entrepreneurs, we get to decide what our business and our life looks like.
And we get to be unapologetic about it.
You're your own boss, so why are you waiting for permission to do things your way?
Here, we ditch the shoulds. No more building a business that looks good on paper but feels bad in your body.
No more following someone else's strategy just because it worked for them or chasing someone else's version of success.
I'm Delia.
And I'm Joana, and this is not just another business strategy podcast.
We are going so much deeper.
We'll be talking about identity, purpose, our inner worlds, and designing a business around the life you actually want to live.
Let's get into it.
Hello, and welcome back to the Unapologetic Entrepreneurship Podcast. Today, we're talking about how to have your best summer. Because let's face it, we got into being our own bosses so that we could experience freedom, work whenever we wanted to. But for most cases, and I say this from talking to a lot of my students, we start to think back to the old days where we got to just tell our boss which days we wanted off and got to completely relax and take 2 weeks unplugged without having to worry about work, right? Do you miss those days, Delia?
Sometimes. Do you know what I miss? Twofold. One, I miss the guaranteed salary when you take time off.
Yeah,
Like, that's
get
what I
paid
really
for
miss.
doing nothing.
Yeah. It's like my paycheck doesn't change and I'm just taking time off. I do miss that because obviously we have to manage it, and that's probably something we can get into. I tell you what I don't miss. I don't miss the working for weeks and months on end leading up to that, and then getting to that holiday and being so desperate for it because you're on the point of like being broken. I do not miss that because I feel like, if I'm honest, working for myself feels more like holiday all the time. Like, I will I will work a half day if I want to, or I will finish early for something, and that makes it worth it. I don't know. What about you?
Well, before I get into that, I know that some people listening might be like, well, good for you, Delia. I wish I could do that. Teach us how.
We will. That's what this podcast is all about.
I feel like every summer is a little bit different depending on how the year goes. But how I like to think of it is that you can decide how long you want to take off in summer, and this should actually be done in January, right? So maybe when we circle back to January, we could be already like, okay, here's how you plan your time off, or you could already start for next summer. And the idea is that depending on how long you take, you divide that. Let's say you want to take a month off, so you know what your expenses or your salary, what you want for that month. And then for the rest of the year, you start to put that money aside monthly so that you could fully unplug and get paid for it, like you were saying that you miss. And also just like making sure even 2-3 months in advance, start letting your clients know that you're going to be off for that month, and giving yourself buffer zone like before and after so that you don't have any deadlines too close to when you're about to go on holiday. And also noting to the clients that if there are delays on their side, their project is going to inevitably be paused for a month. And just like make that clear.
Yeah, setting those expectations and blocking your calendar out. Actually, just today, someone booked a call for when I'm on holiday. And I was like, oh, that's a reminder. I need to block my calendar.
Yeah. But so tell us, Delia, how do you take like half a day off? I feel like if you feel like it. Like, especially in summer, I feel like people will want to do that if they haven't scheduled that time off, but it's sunny outside and they're like, I want to go outside and like be with friends, even though I have to carry on working. Like, how could they borrow a little bit of your wisdom to take a day off or a half a day?
So what I try to do really hard in the summer is to be as efficient as possible with my time, to the point of feeling obsessed about it. So I I don't just map out my day, I map out the hours, exactly how I'm going to spend it. Because I'm what's the really big believer in? Is it the Parkinson's law that you will take up the amount of time you
Hmm.
have is the amount of time you will use, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm doing, let's say I need to write a homepage, if I go into it with the energy of, well, I've got a day to write this homepage, I've got 8 hours, then I will take it easy, right? That doesn't actually mean that I'm going to do a better job because I've got more time.
Hmm.
I will just feel that time. If it's summer and I want to go for a swim before school pickup, then I'll think, right, okay, I've got 4 hours to write this homepage. And then I just go at it with a whole different energy, like a sort of Duracell bunny energy. I know that time is capped. I'll think, right, I've got this much time for planning the page, planning out my sections, doing that bit of research, pulling it in. And then in 3 hours in, I need to have done that first shitty draft. Then the last hour is editing. I work really well under time pressure. Like, I think it goes
Hmm.
back to my years of being a journalist and having that deadline. So I will actually get better work done in less time. If
Yeah.
let's say, like those two examples of writing a homepage in 4 hours versus 8 hours, I'm going to put money on the fact that the one I did in 4 hours is better than the one I did in 8 hours. And then I get to go for a swim afterwards, because it's
Yeah.
like a dopamine reward, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're kind of setting yourself a challenge, which my brain loves. And then you're rewarding it with something you want to do at the end of the day.
Mhm.
So for me, my summers, the work can be more intense, the hours I'm working, but then I get
Yeah.
more time off afterwards.
Yeah. This reminds me a lot about it reminds me a lot of the time of exams around summer, back in A-level days, and how, like, under exam conditions, you're in such a high state of focus, you get so much done. I took English literature and I took art, for example, for A-levels. And in English literature, we'd have like 2-hour exams, and I'd be like, oh my God, look at all the pages I wrote in 2 hours. Like, when I have essays as homework, I take so long to write the essays. And I'm actually really proud of what I came up with in these 2 hours. Or same thing with art exams. When I'd be painting, I'm we'd have like 8 hours exams split into two. I'm like, look at these paintings, or like this triptych I painted in 8 hours. Like, if I was this efficient all the time, like, I'd have so much more work in to show for my year of A-level art, for example. And I try to recreate that at work. Like you say, like, I also like to be super efficient. So if I have a deadline, first I know that, like, we can't really sustain longer than 90 minutes in hyper focus mode. And sometimes I'll even schedule in like a 5-minute break in between. But if you're going to put yourself under strict exam conditions, you need to, like, be only focused on that task. You need to have your phone on airplane mode, and you need to honor the time where it ends. So, like, in an exam, if you don't write the conclusion for the essay, it's an incomplete essay, and that's gonna, like, take you down a couple of marks. So you need to, like, be like, okay, there's 15 minutes to go. I need to be getting to the conclusion. And so you can break down your task if it's a bigger task, like writing the homepage. Like, I need to have the outline done in the first hour. I need to have, like, these 2 sections done in the second hour. I need to have these 3 in the third. And by the fourth, I need to be working on, I don't know, the FAQs and the closing CTA, or the editing, or, like, I'm leaving the last half an hour for final pass. And so it's about, like, breaking that into the chunks. The other thing that I think, if we think like that, what it helps us do, like, let's say you want to take half days in summer, it helps you analyze, like, what are really the most important tasks and how can you do them the most efficient way, right? Because sometimes, like you said, like, we take the time that we set ourselves. Um,
Absolutely.
and we don't become as efficient. Like, this actually reminds me of yesterday. I was doing a photo shoot and I had 28 products to photograph for an e-commerce website, and then and I didn't do my best practices. So I was like, oh, I have a whole day. This is plenty. I'll probably have time left over to tackle other tasks. And that was my biggest problem because I didn't schedule like, okay, well, this is when I need to do these by, this is when I start editing. So by the time lunchtime comes around, my mom's like, what are you up to? And I'm like, oh, I'm like taking photos. And she's like, oh yeah, that reminds me back to the olden days where I was a creative director for a magazine. And I was like, oh yeah, you could help. Oh, you have loads of props from back in the day. Can I come to your house like to do some lifestyle shots? And suddenly I'm like, I'm over delivering for the client. I'm sabotaging myself because I could be doing other things. And I've just lost time going to my mom's house, like going through all her props, and then I didn't have time to edit. So that's an
Mhm.
example of like, if you're not strict with your time, inspiration can take you beautiful places and you can have fun. But like, what do you want more? Do you want to go dive in the ocean and just agree that you're only going to take a certain amount of time? Or do you just want to let your mind go free and take it easy? I think there's a time and place for both, to be honest. But I think in the summer,
100%.
I do think in the summer, I'd rather like go to the beach every afternoon.
Yeah, and I think there's other times where getting in that creative flow and going to your mum's house and seeing what comes out of it. I mean, that's so deeply fulfilling, isn't it? We
Mm.
spoke last week about having purpose and having work that feels fulfilling, or 2 weeks ago. And that's a good example of how your work can be very fulfilling when you get into that flow. But yeah, I agree. The other thing that I think of a lot in the summer is time is money, right? Time is either money or it's experiences. Like that's how I see it. And so what I do to make the most of my week for the summer is I try to do this like on the Friday. So on the Friday, I look at everything. Look at my Google Calendar for the week ahead, and then I have a A4 piece of paper. Which, if you're watching this on YouTube, this is what it looks like. But if you're listening, it has Monday to Sunday written out in columns and then lines. So it's visual because I need a piece of paper that's visual. And then what I will do is first thing I would do is like map out any calls or anything that's happening so that I can see on a piece of paper my blank time. And then on a separate piece of paper, I will look at all the jobs I need to do. And then I will rank them in order of priority, like what's the most
Mm.
important. And then I think, what is the one thing that I really want to shift next week? So that'll be a bigger thing. It might be something that takes over a few days. It'd be like finish this website for a client or finish this product that Joanna and I are making. And so there'll be like one big task, which is like my objective of the week. And then I look at my priority list and I look at my calls and I slot out everything, like with really quite strict time slots. And so I'm currently writing some articles for a client and I have to write 15 articles. And I worked out that they're shorter articles than I would normally do for her. So I worked out I could do one article in 30 minutes. So then I was like, okay, 15 divided by 30, like this is how much time I need. And so now then I've literally blocked out like a day and a half. And for me, it actually can't go more than that because it stops becoming financially viable as a project.
Right.
If I spend more than a day and a half in it, then I'm undercharging massively.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it's a couple of things. It's like money is a motivator as well. I like to feel that I'm getting the best ROI of what I'm charging. And then the other thing is the experiences. Like, what experiences can I have that aren't sitting at my desk and just procrastinating or opening up Instagram or something? Because that's not living, right? And it's so easy to do. Like we just, like I do it, right? So I do not want you to be listening to this thinking, well, Delia
Yeah,
never
like we
procrastinates.
just have it all together.
We just have it all together. We don't.
Mm-mm.
But we have good intentions and we know what works. um, and so what I've realized this summer for me is the one biggest thing that will get in the way of me having a great summer is procrastination. Because
Right.
procrastination is what is stopping me from getting my work done faster so that I can live my life outside of work. And I've been thinking a lot this summer about how can I reduce the procrastination? Like what tips and tricks can help me reduce it? And one thing that is working at the moment for me is to come back to the present moment. right? So it's
Mm.
like sometimes I will say the word now out loud to make me remember now is all we have. Now is where we're at. And then I will say to myself, what is the best thing I can be doing right now? And sometimes I say it out loud, and that can just help me stop the procrastination and move forward. What works for you,
Oh, I
Joanna?
love
Like,
that. Wait. Before we do that, okay, so you are going to write 15 articles in 30-minute increments.
yeah.
I have questions.
Uh, like, I have literally the timings here
Does
so that
it,
I cross them out.
is it causing you stress, first of all, to know that you have that and you can't go over?
No.
Why not? Because I'm thinking like, oh my God, like that's a lot. And like, is Delia scheduling the breaks in between? And like,
If anything, I get like into, I don't even need 30 minutes. And I get like challenging that I could do it in 20 minutes. And then I'm always trying to like undercut my 30 minutes if I can. Um, and then sometimes when I do undercut it, I'll like, go for a little dance around the house, get some water, have a snack. I do allocate lunch break, 30 minutes as well.
Mhm,
And I should say, I don't work like this every day.
mhm.
This is 1 day and a half of my whole week that I'm working like this because the other projects are very different.
Because it probably wouldn't be sustainable, right? Like, would you do that
No,
every day?
no, I don't think
Mm.
it would be. I don't think it would be. But this is a very specific. In fact, it's a very specific project. It's just for right now for this month, and because it's a high number of articles to produce, which isn't normally what I would be doing. I desperately need that system to keep me on track. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I would literally write 15 articles over a week and I would have grossly undercharged and the quality won't be any better for me because as a
Mhm.
trained journalist, I work best under pressure. So it doesn't stress me out at all. It
Yeah.
stresses me out. The thought of not doing it under time conditions stresses me more.
Yeah. Yeah, I like doing things under time conditions because then even though I feel that it does require a little bit more energy, the idea is that the rest of the time you're using it with things to fill up more of your energy because it wouldn't be sustainable. Like people ask me all the time like how do you have time to do everything you do and then do pickup? It's because I work intensely for 6 hours, but then I know the rest gives me energy and the rest of the time I can rest. And so there has to be a balance, right? You can't just take this tip and be like, okay, well, then I'm going to work 10-hour days under exam conditions for 5 days a week. Like, it won't work. It's
No, it won't
not
work.
going to work. Like,
It won't work. And I
we're
should
only
say
human.
that we are only human. And I should say I'm working at the moment 6 hour days because I'm solo parenting for 3 weeks and I'm doing pick up and drop off. So it's not that much time once you get
Yeah.
back from the drop off and the time goes so fast that if you don't schedule and plan your time, you lose it.
Yep.
And for me, I regret that. Like if you've ever had this where you have a week where you've procrastinated more than normal,
Mm.
it makes me feel bad,
Yeah.
right? And
Same.
I try not to be, I'm all about self-love and try not to, I'll accept that that's what happened and that next week is another week and, whatever. I won't give myself a hard time, but it doesn't feel good. And I think what I also chase is the feel good.
Mm.
So like, I know that if I can do this and achieve what I want to achieve that week, I start the weekend feeling amazing. Like I feel really good. I feel like I had a good week at work. I feel like I can go into the weekend and really enjoy it. So that's another incentive.
Um, so all of this reminds me now of an app that I wish still existed when you were saying like you were competing with yourself. There used to be an app, and maybe someone listening can vibe code it and put it out there again, where you would put all your tasks for the day and give yourself like how long you think it takes. Because sometimes we also have like little tasks like pay the school or like schedule that appointment, whatever. Like they still need to be done today besides the deep work. And you would like put in all the tasks and the breaks, and it would like give you the timer like as a circle of like how much you're eating up of that task. And then once you go over, it would like start flashing red, like you're over. And my favorite feature about it was it would tell me you'll be done at 3 p.m. And so I'll be like, how low can I get this number down? And at the beginning I'd speed through tasks, and now it says like you'll be done at 2 p.m. Like, great. Like, I just got myself an hour of like
Oh my God. We need to
downtime.
create this app.
I know, right? It was so good. And you just had to like swipe when the task would be finished, and then immediately the time would go down and all the tasks would kind of like come up, to the point that sometimes you had to move the order because it's like, oh, I was so fast this morning. Now it's lunchtime, but it's still not lunchtime. So let me move the break for later. And you could really just like drag and drop like the tasks and switch the order around. And it was so good. It was very, in terms of visuals, it was very simple. Each task had a different random color and you could see them coming up. But my favorite was like, you'll be done by. And you could see that time go down if you managed to do tasks faster.
Oh my God, I want this app. What happened to
And
it?
it would keep you so focused. It just like left the app store, and I've been thinking a lot about it, and I'm like, it was my favorite app ever. I just need to vibe code it because it was
Please.
such a like motivation.
Yeah, that's what I need. I
Because
really, really need this.
sometimes when we speed through tasks, we're like, okay, now what else can I do? Instead of being like,
Yes.
no, you've done everything you set yourself to do. You probably exerted even more mental energy to do it even faster. So now give yourself a break.
Okay, this is really important, what you've just said there, because this is where we get to be unapologetic, right? This is where, like, when you've done what you've said you're going to do, take the break. Like, how often do we as entrepreneurs do everything we've done, beat the clock, and then be like, okay, I've gained time. What am I going to do with it? And either find more jobs, or worse than that, sort of feel like we can't leave our computer yet and faff or
Yeah.
and don't actually take the break. Like, I think it takes some bravery and courage to actually shut the computer down when you've done what you said you're going to do, guilt-free, and like live your life.
Yeah. To be honest, I need to practice that. Because I keep thinking like, but I've got so much to do before I go on holiday. And you were asking me about like, what do I do? And like, as you were describing yours, I was remembering a mantra that I've given myself, because I have to admit, at the beginning of this week, I was like, oh my God, I have 3 weeks left until I go on holiday for 2 weeks. And I've got 2 website deadlines. We've got like the podcast going on. We've got a product launch. Like, I've got a lot of things. And looking at my to-do list was giving me a little bit of anxiety. And it felt like I was pushing a boulder up a hill. I was like, there's so much I need to do. And like, I was getting my mind into this effort thing. And then I'm like, okay, this is not how I want to feel. Going back to like all our chats. And I always ask the question, which like a client of mine, Susie Moore, she has a whole book on it, which is Let It Be Easy. And I was like, well, how can this be easy? And I actually created an audio for myself of like talking about affirmations. And the main one that I've noticed has had like a physical reaction within me is that I don't force the work, I'm pulled by the work. So every time I look at a task on my list and I'm like, I don't want to do this. That feels like forcing. I try and think of it as like that task is pulling me. And like, how would that feel like? What would it look like if the task was pulling me? And I start to imagine myself in the morning, like when I'm doing my meditation, really enjoying the task. And sometimes I get ideas for how to do it faster. Like this morning, one of the things I had to do bookkeeping, and I'm like, I don't want to do it. And then I had this idea of like how to simplify my process with AI. And I just ran it by Claude, and I was pulled to do it. And I got excited. Now I actually want to do more and get ahead on the bookkeeping, because I'm like, oh, this is really easy now that I came up with this workflow. So I think that can help as well. If you're feeling like, okay, I get it. I get putting myself under exam conditions. I get like blocking out the tasks, but the hard thing is to actually do it. I will still procrastinate. Then it's about doing a little bit of, before you get into the task, just sit for a few minutes, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and just like feel the task pulling you. Feel yourself enjoying actually doing the task and feel how good it's going to feel on the other side once you're done.
I love that so much. I also want to ask you about these audios you recorded, because you just said you've recorded what, 2 audios for yourself?
Yeah.
So talk us through this. What are the audios for?
I feel like this is a whole new episode though. But in
Oh, should we
short,
do that on another episode? Should we do it on the next episode?
yeah, maybe. Yeah. Let's do that on
Okay.
another episode.
Okay, because I want to know. I want to know it. I want all the details.
Okay.
So let's dive into that in the next episode.
But to close, if all of the things that we said are still like, okay, John and Delia, I get it. I tried all the things. I still procrastinated. Then there's no better thing than doing a body doubling call, right?
Yeah, like co-working.
Yeah, calling your friend up and saying, Delia, I've been procrastinating on this task for like 2 weeks now. Can we get on a Zoom call? By the end of the Zoom call, I would have needed to have done this, this, and this. What are you going to do during this time? And then you each put yourself on mute and you do it. And oh my God, like people that did the challenge and are still staying in touch, and people in my program, Ambitious Creatives Booked Solid, they're saying it works so well. We've been so productive. Why didn't we try this sooner?
It makes such a difference. Like Joanna and I do this a lot, and my favorite time to do it with you is on a Monday. Because I don't know about you, but Mondays can be the hardest day to get started for me, because I especially in the summer, because like I live by the beach, right? So my weekends feels like vacation, right? We're probably gonna lose listeners saying this. Screw you, Delia. We don't want to hear any more about your vacation life. But so my weekends feel like vacation, which means that Monday morning I have that like getting to my desk, my brain is so switched off that I have to switch it back on again. And that is when, for me, procrastination can happen, because my brain is fighting being turned back on. So for me, doing that co-working session on a Monday, I say, Joanna, what time are you going to be at your desk? Let's do it. Let's set our goals for the week. Let's go. It's also why having that list written on a Friday really helps me, because on Monday there's less thinking to do. You hit the ground running. Yeah. But yeah, Monday morning co-working with you is just, it can save a day, right? It can, otherwise sometimes you can feel like you could lose a day if you're not on it.
Yeah, love that. Awesome.
Amazing.
So we hope that these tips can help you get more time back this summer if you haven't scheduled time off. Make sure you also schedule time in the calendar with friends or whatever, or like to go to the beach, because then if you have that in the calendar, it's again more of an incentive like to get things done by that time, because you already said to that person you're going to meet them at 3 p.m. at the beach or at the park or wherever. And yeah, just enjoy this summertime. But if you're in the southern hemisphere, then make the most out of this to get some more free time back as well.
Yeah, you can plan for next summer.
Yeah.
Right. and just remember to take the time off guilt-free. That's the thing as well. Guilt-free. Yeah, take it off. You can do it in less hour. Parkinson's law. Go have fun. And we'll see you in the next episode.
That's it for this week. If you enjoyed this episode, or if something here landed for you, share it with a friend.
Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss next week's episode.
And if you can, please leave us a review. It really helps new people find us.
See you next time.